Mm, mm, mm. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on a Tuesday night. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. Talking about Age of Sigmar and anything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer Fantasy. Only Andy knows the comp rules. Ba 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 ba. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on a Tuesday night.
Wonderful, as always, Mr. Remington, strumming away there on your magnificent instrument for all to see. So, folks, once again, it's the Andy and Rem Show, number 37, in fact. Veterans, dare we say. And
Only
of course,
37, that's not much.
37 consecutive weeks without missing one.
Right.
So that's pretty hardcore for a show. As you can see, we've been joined by the legendary Dreddy.
Yes, once again. Every time I join the show, my hair is different.
The highly
Can't help it.
competitive wargaming expert.
Yes, I'm so competitive.
Yep, that we call on whenever we need to delve into the tactical realm and we need some serious hardcore insight. If you want to know about metas and comps, you're the one we usually turn to, aren't you?
Yes,
When-
I also only use casino dice for my game.
Well then, let's look and see who's in the live audience, shall we, tonight, because it is quite a packed house, as always. So, before the show, Benjamin Powell was telling us that he is going to be eating cornflakes, and that's corn, spelt like the Chaos God, of course.
Really beardy joke there.
Yeah, with
Like-
blood milk on them. I don't like the sound of
Yeah.
blood milk, though. That sounds terrible. Let's see who
When
else
you
we've got.
make
here.
a blood sausage.
Let's not do that. We've got Lady Phoenix, we've got Craig Shannon, we've got MC1 Gamer, we've got YouTube Newbie, AoS 1861, Was Gob, I Rottering, Graham Rigg, Ratface, Drunken Elf, who is apparently sober tonight, Skeleton Flower, Tabathist23, Melt Graffelman, Mark Thomas. If I just run through these so fast, someone could sneak in with a really inappropriate username and get me to read it out, couldn't they? HJK Sauce, Rinolo, who else? Steve Cox, Stefan Asplund, Rhino of Pleasure, which is always an amazing name to see in there, Amy Snokes, who else have we got here? That might be everyone. Oh no, there's Mickey Genver sneaking in there. Robert Lloyd Sweet, which is quite an amazing name as well. And oh, there was someone with beard in the name then, but I've scrolled past it. No, never mind.
Can't find it.
So,
You found the sound effects, didn't you?
I knew it was going to be a bad day as soon as Mr. Remington finally discovered the Google effects.
I
The
Don't
Google
think-
effects have destroyed bigger shows than this one.
was one of the first ones to use these babies. You know, it really was on with Reef. You know, we got dressed up as animals and did a Beastman live show.
You got dressed up with animals.
Yeah,
Yeah, they had a bit of a furry live show because it was a Beastman Army book breakdown, so it made sense.
I see.
Okay, now, folks, you may remember last week we were giving away a DarkOps Cemetery. And we asked you to give Rem some tactical advice because, of course, he needs it, especially going up against me in most of his games. He needs all the help he can get, really. So, yes, thanks for that. That's not going to throw anyone off their rhythm at all. So, we delved into the comments from last week, the permanent comments, that is, and we assessed the tactical value of each person's advice. Well, I did at least. Oh, look, he's got a dog face now. How wonderful. So, anyone that gave him any tactical advice at all has got 1 entry into the competition. And anyone who gave him any spectacular, in-depth tactical advice that maybe spanned an entire paragraph rather than just a line, they've got 2 entries. So their name appears twice on the random.org list, which I have on the page right in front of me here. So, would anyone like to tell me how many times I should randomize this list?
42.
I'm not going to go with 42. I'm going to go with 4 instead. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now then, audience, you are to give me a number from 1 to 16. The first one in there, oh, and we've got it already. It's HJKSOS, who says number 12. So the winner is Darth Plagueis 101. So you have won a DarkOps Cemetery, and in fact, I'm going to show you what you've won right now through the power of the screen share. Let's just get it onto the old right page there, and there you go. So Darth Plagueis 101, you are the proud owner of one of these, and I've been assembling mine, and it's been quite a delight actually. Not difficult at all. It easily pops out of the wooden sprue, I suppose you'd call it. And then it just goes together nicely with PVA with some clamps on it to make sure that it's sticking evenly all across. I'm sure you could do the same thing with rubber bands as well. I'll show you some pieces of mine in a sec when I stop this screen share. But look at that, price £18, so no expense spared on the prize support for this show. Next week we will be giving away a luxury yacht, by the way, for anyone who's interested. So, let's stop that for a second, and I'll show you a little piece of mine actually here. Check it out. Part of the gate.
It's quite a creaky gate.
It is quite a creaky gate, actually. And this is the last piece to assemble. All the rest of it is over there on the other side of the room, waiting to be painted. So that's going to pop up in a battle report very soon, no doubt. I'm sure you're excited for that, Mr. Remington.
Sure.
There's going to be all kinds of undead abominations summoned in there, most likely.
I'm sure you'll invent some scenario where you win.
I'll invent some scenario where you have to wade across open ground towards massed firepower.
Those are the best.
Those are my favourite scenarios, actually.
To counteract that, I've been developing my dwarf army because I've been painting Thorgrim Grudgebearer, and he's not happy with what you've done with your dwarves, Andy. And many Facebook Andy and Rem fans agree with that as well, with the desecration of the Goblin Green being used on the bases. This has to stop. Thorgrim has written an entry in his Book of Grudges and said you have to be reprimanded viciously, mercilessly.
Is that entirely on the back of the Goblin Green bases?
Well, no, I think I've been beaten one too many times by you. So, of course, that all ends with RemCon coming soon, but we'll talk.
Well, you see, the problem is with my dwarves, I've picked intentionally weak armies every time I've used them so far in Age of Sigmar. But you keep losing. I don't know what more I can do. Maybe if I just take one dwarf on his own.
This is not true. If anyone picks the fluffiest choices, it's got to be me. Come on.
I don't know.
Who else plays Dark Elf Scourge Runner Chariots?
Who else takes their dwarf war machines with no engineers and takes all their units in 10s instead of 20s?
Who takes Squig Hoppers?
That's a very sensible person, actually. Squig Hoppers are to be feared. So, shall we move on to our next? It's a very minor topic, this actually, just a little reminder to people that they should be signing up, well, not signing up technically, but joining up to the Andy and Rem Show Facebook page, where you can be voting right now on which day we should be running Andy Palooza / RemCon in small print underneath. Because there's a choice of several weekends coming up towards the end of this month and next month, and we want to know when people can make it, just so we don't pick a day and then find that no one can actually make it there, and we're just there on our own in our Andy Palooza / Remcon t-shirts, and it's really embarrassing, and we don't look like big deals at all. If you want to put yourself across as an A-list celebrity, you need to have a huge following. So we need to pick a day to maximize the audience potential.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the results too, because that will be also the day when DreadCon will happen and everyone will just come here and you will just sit there, like you just said, with your t-shirts, like drinking tap water.
Where is DreadCon being held?
It's a secret location that only the VIP members of the Dread Lodge get the information of.
I thought it was called Dreadfest anyway.
That was just a big ruse to keep the plebs away.
To keep out the riffraff, give it a false name. Hold it in a secret location for VIPs only. And you don't even tell them where it's going to be, you tell them where to meet a mysterious, shadowy, cloaked figure who'll then lead them to the destination from there.
Yeah, very much.
Okay. Drunken_elf says Germany is closer.
Yeah,
So,
see?
See, you've got one participant already.
Yeah, DreadCon will be a hit. It will just be in front of an Aldi and we will just drink cheap beer and then go home.
Although YouTube Newbie says that he would actually kill to go to Dreadfest.
Oh, who would you kill though?
Yeah, who? If you want anyone killing, then now might not be the time to give him the instruction because it's being recorded for all eternity and it's just out there on the internet forever. So I'm sure there would be some kind of legal ramifications.
I don't know how effective it would be to have some Warhammer nerds like give them a job as a killer anyway. Like it could be quite embarrassing.
This is Newbie we're talking about, though. You've seen how intense and excited he gets about everything. If you tell him to kill someone, he's going to do that to the best of his ability, isn't he?
Right.
Well, at the minute, he's not bigging up Andy Palooza very much. That's you look on the comments there, Andy. You'll notice.
Yeah, well, I have accepted that YouTube Newbie is just one of those fans that followed you over when I picked you up on a free transfer from Reef at the end of the season.
I think you got a bargain there, didn't you? That's the signing of the season, surely.
I don't know. I think Warhammer Weekly have picked up a few solid transfers, definitely. I hear they do have to pay quite big wages though because they don't have the lineage that we do. They've been around a lot longer, but they haven't picked up the same level of awards that we have. Like in our first year, before we even get to the end of our first year, we're just swamped with awards. Rumour has it we would have actually won more awards, but because of that strange rule that they had in place that only allowed one award per channel.
Did they only introduce this year as well, Mike?
I think that was put in place to stop us achieving #clean sweep.
Well, what Warhammer news have we got, Andy? I've got some bits.
Well, we've got quite a few things actually. First of all, let's just get the old screen share out here again, because there are a few things on the Games Workshop website I want to draw people's attention to. So first of all, this is something that caught my eye. They have a Dream Army competition for anyone that places an order of £50 or more through the web store or in-store as well. And this is for, if you wanted to buy something that was £100, then you will be wanting to split it into 2 orders, because then you'd get 2 entries then, chances to win. And it doesn't actually tell you right there what the prize is. You have to go all the way down here. And then I think it tells you somewhere. But it's quite an obscene amount. I can't even find it now. But I think it's something like a huge amount of models and the entire paint range and every single brush, all the different hobby stuff they have.
Holy crap, I would only want the paints. I would just get depressed with that amount of models right now. Like,
Yeah, there we go. Totaling no more than £2,000.
yes, no more than 2,000 though. If you want more, get screwed. That's it.
Yeah, so you get the hobby bundle as well, which is all of the paints and the brushes. A choice of one of 2 different scenery bundles, and then the miniatures of £2,000. No more than £2,000 though.
It's pretty amazing, really. The change Games Workshop's had from being the most tight-fisted company that ever existed, suddenly doing these, these starter boxes and these special offers, and although they don't, you don't see sale items in the web store, but it's still, it's good stuff, man.
Well, you don't see sale items, but one thing that you are seeing, you're seeing these army deals. Like, take as an example, we've got this Chaos one here. £110. Now, just that guy on the monster has got to be half that value alone, hasn't he?
Is it a Manticore? I think, yeah, that's about £28, isn't it? That one? £30.
Well, there's quite a lot of stuff in there for the value. So those chariots, what are they, about 20 odd each?
Yeah.
Maybe 25? So the two of those, plus him, that's well over half. And you've still got all this other stuff as well, Chaos Knights, Chaos Warriors, Horsemen. So these things are pretty good value, and in fact that leads on to our next item, which is, dun dun dun, here, these are their next releases. There's a Skaven and a Skeleton box now. And apparently, this Undead box here is for the price of that guy at the back, and then £5 or £10 more for those 2 units. That's quite a sweet deal.
Yeah,
That's not bad. That's not bad.
I would imagine the Skaven one is a very similar deal as well. In fact, I think we can see the prices there. I think it says £50. So just that war machine has got to be 30 on its own, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's a bargain, man. Especially when you buy it from discounted shops. So you're looking at £40 for a box.
Yeah, if you buy it from a discounted shop, then obviously cheaper. Or if you buy it direct from GW for £50, you would qualify for a chance to win that prize as well, which would be nice.
Yeah, they're really interested in getting people into the game at the moment. Also with that big army giveaway, they're kind of going back to their roots a bit, where we're doing more of those giveaways and stuff and sales and.
Well, they spent so long only appealing to hardcore players because obviously they don't really advertise. There was never really evidence of them sending out samples to websites or YouTube channels or anything. All things they've actually started doing, they've started interacting with the people more. The public, they've actually dirtied their hands getting out there with the people occasionally. They've started going to more events by all accounts, doing not exactly special offers but deals, prizes.
Right.
They're definitely changing their attitude and leaning more towards bringing people in. I'm sure they were looking at sales and thinking, okay, our customer base is shrinking. Those people are still spending money, but there aren't enough of them to sustain our business long term, so we need to actually bring new people in.
Yeah.
And Age of Sigmar was just step one.
It's like a giant, isn't it? It takes a long time for it to wake up and get itself moving. But once it does, it just wades through the competition, and just stuffs them in their bag. So it's doing what I always thought it would be. Once this game's probably been in development for a couple of years and whatnot, so now they're happy with it. They're putting it out there, and this could lead us onto the comp system thing where they've let the players decide how they want to comp it. And now with various comp systems introduced, it might bring back those more competitive players. It's not necessarily a good thing, but
Look at this deal as well that's coming up soon. The Virulent Horde, which is £105. So that big guy, how much is he? Is he about 45 at least?
Yeah.
So you're probably getting all that infantry for nothing in this deal.
Right.
Pretty much.
Right now I'm just waiting for White Dwarf to go back to its old format where you had like scenarios in it and hobby tips and stuff. And not just like the new stuff that you can buy right now.
It's more like a little weekly catalogue now, isn't it, really?
Pretty much, yeah. Like the new releases, and then it's just all the new release and maybe like a few pages with whatever, but...
Although the stuff you would look forward to in White Dwarf in years gone by, now you can find it in other avenues, can't you? Through YouTube and blogs and such.
Yeah, YouTube has taken...
Waiting for the forces of order to come together, what's going to happen to the Empire? What's going to happen to Pletonia, Dwarves, and Elves? What's going to happen with all those? Because we've seen the Chaos book that's come out. I can't remember what it's called, Chaos United or something like that. And that enables you to play Skaven, and you can mix them up with Chaos Warriors or Beastmen and whatnot, which is the beauty of Age of Sigmar. We've seen the new Death book, that's retailing at only £10. So I believe that the Forces of Order is coming soon. But Andy, you've got another theory on that, haven't you? You think it's the Oryx.
Yeah, word on the street is that the Oryx could indeed be the next ones out within the next couple of months, even.
I really hope so. That would be great.
You two both have orc armies, don't you?
Yeah.
So how would you feel about that if their aesthetic was vastly departed from the current range?
I wouldn't care, because, to be honest, this is my second orc army I have right now. I had a really big one, like, I don't know, a few years ago that I sold because I got upset with Age edition at some point, made a great mistake. But I have painted so many of the orcs that exist right now, and orcs are just orcs. Like, if they have bigger armor or whatever, they still stay orcs. And I'm a bit tired of painting them the way they are right now, to be honest, so I would be happy if they would change them up a bit. Like, maybe a bit crazier armor, whatever. Stay to the, like, orcish formula, what's, like, in the general, like, how the bodies look and everything, but...
I think they're definitely going to crazy them up a bit. I don't think you need to be too wild with your speculation to assume that, because everything's getting more over the top, isn't it?
Pretty much.
I got pretty much every model in the range, Orcs and Goblins. You know, once I got this sweet deal off eBay, I bought this box, I think it's just £60. It had like Black Orcs in it, the Night Goblins, the Mangler Squig, some special edition ones with the Orc Squigs chasing each other, and loads of Squigs and Squigobbers. I got a real sweet deal there, so I ended up having one of everything, and it's taken me about a year and a half to get through painting the majority of the Orcs. But with Age of Sigmar, they're very fractured. It doesn't really give you any benefits of playing Orcs and Goblins together. Like, the benefits that the Orc Shamans and the Orc Bosses give are for other Orcs, and similarly with Goblins. So it doesn't make any sense to mix them up at the moment. So I've got an Orc force. I haven't quite completed the Goblin force, but Goblins seem really, really weak to me. You're going to need so many models to actually be able to compete in a game.
Oh, yeah.
That's sort of against the spirit of Age of Sigmar, because having more models doesn't make for a more fun game. So,
it depends. Like, I used to have a Night Goblin horde comprised out of 100 Night Goblins, and as much work as it was fun to field them, just because it was so nuts. Yeah. Just seeing all those tiny green guys with their spears just running towards like one Chaos Warrior or something. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sick of painting a billion Night Goblins, but if they look differently, if there would be like new goblins that are like, I don't know, even if they were like fire goblins, if they were on fire, like I would enjoy that. Just having something different.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? Some kind of elemental based orc or goblin unit.
Yes, that would be interesting.
I would go so far as to say, if you're playing medium or large games of Age of Sigmar, a pure goblin army is almost unplayable.
Yeah.
It would be so annoying. It'd be like playing undead with a pure zombie army. The amount you would need to make it roughly equal with your opponent would be insane. And then moving them all around individually. Very well, you could put them on movement trays for the first couple of turns, and as soon as they get into combat and start having to pile in, it's going to get really annoying. It's going to take you a really long time.
Yeah, I mean, right now in my new orc army, I only have about 20 Night Goblins, and I already use a movement tray. It's like, I don't want to buy more of those, at least. Like, if there's new goblins, I will get like a few, and then that's cool, just to have some models and have them on the table.
So, have you got any ideas for new units? I've got one, perhaps, for an Orc unit. It's called Orc Kamikaze. So it's like, it's basically, he's in Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers, where that Orc carries those bombs, and he just goes charging into the castle keep and blows it up. Something like that. Some kind of, you know, almost like a terrorist Orc. You know, there's just covered in bombs under his jacket, and he just goes and just runs through the enemy and blows up. kamikaze stuff.
Call me crazy, but I'm not sure GW are going to be too eager to start putting out miniatures with bombs strapped to them in this current world climate.
Right. I mean, there was a kamikaze goblins, the old models.
Yeah.
And there used to be in 2nd edition 40k, there was a Gitbrenner. No, what was it called in English? It was like a little bike that had a flame tank on the back, and all you pretty much did, you ignored the flamer that was on it, you just drove it in the enemy lines and let it detonate. That's all you did.
Love it. Love it. The pump wagon doesn't really do it. It's not really powerful anymore. But I don't think it was before. But you know, when it first came out, the pump wagon was not too bad. But we need some kind of high impact unit that's not a goblin fanatic.
Now, the fact that they're called Oryx, they're not called Oryx and Greblins. It's just Oryx. So do you think that means that there's going to be nothing the equivalent of a goblin? And they're just going to be orcs from now on, and goblin players are going to have to rely on their old collection for the moment.
Could be. Could happen. I mean, I think GW will still make like a Grot army, just because they like their Grots and always did, so there might just be different factions. I would be okay with that.
They could do it the way they've done with the Fire Slayers, and then later they'll have the rest of the Dwarden.
Yeah, pretty much.
You have the Oryx first, and then the Greblins, or whatever they choose to call them, later on. What would you call them? It would have to sound almost exactly like Goblin, but you just have to spell it slightly differently. Maybe Goblin with a Y instead of an I.
That's what I wanted to say, pretty much. Like 2 O's maybe, like Goblin, maybe? I don't know. Or Goblin with a U instead of an O. Goblins.
Goblin players out there, you're going to be disappointed if they're not represented in the new releases and it's just crazy Oryx. Maybe some kind of more over-the-top version of Savage Orcs. Because they're already quite unique looking, aren't they?
Very much. Yeah, I expect something in the direction of Savage Orcs, actually. Maybe with a little twist on it. Not sure what it could be, but we'll see. Maybe they write like crazy monsters. I expect crazy monsters.
Well, Grimgor Ironhide was, I believe, was possessed by the spirit of the beasts, wasn't he, in the Archaon book, before he met his death at the hands of Archaon. So maybe, just as the Fire Slayers had that spirit of fire and Grimnir, maybe the Orcs have got this sort of beast magic behind them now. So there might be some kind of, I don't know, bestial orc monster or something.
Maybe.
You think they could end up somewhere between Orc and Ogre, perhaps, if they become even more monstrous?
That would be interesting. I have seen conversions where a person made an Ogre army, but they took Orc heads and put them on the Ogres and just painted them green, and it looked surprisingly good. Like, they were just really big, beefy Orcs all of a sudden. That was a really cool army.
I want to put Orc heads on Sigmarine bodies. I mean, that'd be fun.
By the way, we've got some suggestions for how to misspell goblin. We've got Bazooka J Rambo, who spells it Gerbling. We've got, and him again, he says ghoulies. I don't think they're going to call them ghoulies. Rollo says gremlins.
Gremlins.
I'm not sure they could really trademark gremlins either. Rhino of Pleasure says gowls. LX Goat, which is quite a cool name actually. He says gobelins, as in gobelins, not goblins.
Right.
Robert Lloyd Sweet Rumpelstiltskins. Again, they might run into a few issues if they try and trademark that. Tabletop Minions says greebloins. Get the word loin in there, perhaps. Yeah, I think there's definitely something they could do. Drunken_elf Orc Marines. I don't think people really want the orcs to just be Stormcast with orcish heads and maybe a spike and a skull.
Orc-marites.
Orc-marites? Has anyone converted them yet? I don't think I've seen any on Facebook.
I haven't seen any. I think it's just a problem with the head attaching in the front and not on top, so people don't feel like drilling out the armor or something.
I've seen a lot of dwarf heads.
Really?
No orcs, though. Yeah, plenty of dwarf heads, plenty of space wolf kind of sideburns all over the place.
Yeah.
But no orcs yet.
I heard a rumour that at Warhammer World, in the display cabinets, people have seen Empire troops rebased on round bases. So
That could just have been someone at Warhammer World just feeling like doing it and then putting them in there, though. Who knows?
yeah, it could be, or it could be playtesting them, or it usually means that they're not going to be deleted out of the range.
I don't know. Well, they're going to have some kind of human presence in Age of Sigmar. Basic humans, not superheroes. It's going to be some kind of average Joes.
I think it's hard to go by like the content of the showcases there, because they also have some really old models and stuff in there. So I don't know.
They do have old classic stuff representing a lot of different generations of miniatures.
Like, I personally, right now, I don't see like a human faction returning in the way that it exists right now. Because it's just too old school. It doesn't really fit the look and the vibe of Age of Sigmar, like the Bretonians with their knights and everything. I don't know. There might be like a spectral ghost army or something and look a bit more, I don't know, a bit crazier. And still have like their basic aesthetic in there, but I don't see the old models being like repacked too soon.
I think they could definitely have humans as some kind of super religious cult, so that would make them interesting, and they could put some kind of spin on it, depending what type of god they're worshipping. They could then theme them after that, appearance-wise.
In the audio books, the Sigmarines spot some flagellants with some priests of Sigmar, warrior priests. So that aspect of it could carry on. There's sort of warriors of Sigmar that aren't Sigmarites.
Yeah, basically they would be the Imperial Guard to the Sigmarines, Space Marines, really, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Where a battle is not worthy of Sigmar sending down his chosen ones, then it's just shuffle those lowly humans in there who I haven't bestowed with my blessing.
Yeah, or just Sigmar cults forming wherever humans live. Now that Sigmar is back, they see the light and like form temples around him and like warrior orders and stuff like that.
You guys know more about Warhammer 40k, right? And so the Imperial forces, do you think it will be like that, where you've got Space Marines and then you've got these Imperial forces that are just like basic human army guys?
Could very well be.
They're not as popular, right?
Imperial Guard is quite popular, actually. A lot of people play guards.
They're not as popular, but they're not as pushed down people's throats as Space Marines are. So it's hard to judge, really.
There's really good books about them, like the Gaunt's Ghosts from Dan Abnett, so that's why people want to play them.
Yeah, because you've got the Russian ones, haven't you?
The Vostronians, yeah.
Yeah, so with Age of Sigmar, you might get very specialised branches of humans, rather than just like the Empire, which could be come in loads of different guises. You'll have very specific ones. That's how I think it'll go. Like the Valkyrians, which could be just all female warriors or something. They're human.
Well, it's pretty obvious they're not going to do that, because they seem to have no interest in creating an all-women army, or even a partially women army at the moment.
There used to be an Amazon army in like old Warhammer fluff, wasn't there? Or am I mistaken right now?
They probably did. They used to have everything back in the old days, didn't they, though?
Yeah. They also had pygmies, so like, I don't know. Women in Warhammer just went the way of the pygmies, apparently.
Hashtag flock the pygmies head, of course. Still going strong, trending worldwide.
Well, I think it could go anyway, because I think there's going to be releases for the next 2 or 3 years coming out. But who knows what's to come down the pipe.
Yeah,
Well,
I think Age of Sigmar is there for the long run, so we could see a lot of stuff coming in the future.
And it would make sense if they made an army of women, because they have broadened the scope of their advertising photography. If you saw recently, they had a picture promoting some of the new stuff. They actually had a girl playing the game as well.
Yeah, yeah. Indeed,
Which is
indeed.
unheard of previously.
It's also the boxes they will put into toy stores and stuff, so it will have a broader audience who sees the
Yeah,
boxes.
and then little Jane will go into a Games Workshop store and say, "Which army can I play?" "Oh, none of them are women. I'm not quite so interested anymore." And then she'll immediately walk out.
Yeah.
I always thought the dwarves should have a bearded ladies, a bearded ladies option.
I don't know if they have to be bearded.
It's just sad that all the female dwarfs have to be bearded by so many people. It's just, I don't know.
Have to be, otherwise they'll look like halflings.
No, I mean, I have female dwarfs and they look quite cool, like the cyber ones.
The cyborg ones are really nice, actually. They do like an entire unit. It's in like 10 or 20 different poses.
Yeah, they're amazing. Something
They are
like
very
that
good.
would be really neat. Because like giving them a beard would just make them something to be laughed at again. It would just make them a big joke, and then you have the same thing again. Oh, here's your female army, but they all have beards. Ha 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 ha. Isn't that great, little Jane? And
Well,
then
look,
she just walks out.
it would just, you're looking at the demographics, it would just please the target audience immensely. Bring out models that are female with beards, because then you get the guys and you get the girls on board. It's simple.
I'm not sure it would be trying to shoot down the middle and attract both sides, but I don't think anyone would really go for bearded female dwarves.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would really win in that scenario.
Probably not.
Yeah.
So, let's have a look at the comments, shall we, to see if anyone's said anything on this. YouTube Newbie says Space Marines in all caps.
He
told you he
usually
gets
does that
excited.
a lot.
He does. If there's anyone who's going to be in all caps, it's usually Mr. Newbie. Tabletop minions. Make the humans sort of Mad Max type scavengers or survivors, but
Okay.
obviously fantasy and not post-apocalyptic.
But what would they have that makes them competitive? Would they have, do you know what I mean?
Numbers. Maybe they could have the mastery of some kind of beasts.
Maybe they just have the power of Sigmar's light somewhere channeled through like artifacts, and they can just use that to buff their like puny troops up to something incredible.
Yeah, maybe Sigmar drops off like a magic beacon that contains his light like into every town at Christmas time. To be nice.
It's like a chain restaurant. It's like Mac Sigmas, and then you get in there, like get your Sigma burger and get bestowed with the lights.
Yeah, they build their whole army around just one artifact, while they're all fueled by their Sigmar burgers.
I think they should just be townsfolk. They're not necessarily just full-blooded warriors. They're just townsfolk, and you play them within buildings and stuff. So they're kind of like guerrillas. They leave booby traps, and they've got a few war machines. That could be fun.
Yeah, that would be cool. I would enjoy that. But I'm not sure GW would make an army like that, because they are going with the whole like heroic, everything is kind of heroic and crazy looking vibe right now. So.
You could have like a Joan of Arc character, couldn't you? The one that just inspires all the villagers to be heroes.
Yeah, that would work. That would be neat. That would be like the whole buffing up thing.
Yeah, if they have like the mortal champions of Sigmar, who administer the blessing on Sigmar's behalf onto the legions of peasants, because I don't think they'd want them too down to earth, like fighting dirty in the streets.
You should definitely have a faction of Morris dancers within them, and they sort of dance around a clay pole, maypole, and it creates the whirlwinds of magic.
Anytime we're musing on what the Games Workshop might do, there seems to be a theme, because I remember on one of your Beastmen videos with Mr. Reef, he had the idea of the Bray Shaman dancing round the Herdstone. You're desperate to work that Morris dancing into Warhammer somehow, aren't you?
I thought you'd be into that. I mean, you know what I mean? You got the haircut, you got the beard.
It's not going to happen. There's going to be no dancing at Andy Palooza. Although I have it on good authority, there is going to be some kind of dancing at RemCon.
There's going to be no one there. There's going to be no one there, Andy Palooza.
I think you could be wrong on that. I think people have realised that RemCon, the clue is in the name. RemCon is a con, it's all talk. Andy Palooza is all action.
Paloozas.
Well, that's just hurtful to all the Andy Palooza fans out there.
Let's put it to the test. You've created, very well I must admit, you've created a vote button thing on Facebook, haven't you, where fans and audiences can choose which date they want RemCon to be held on. That means it's real. It's really, really, really going to happen. It's going to be awesome. And there's going to be 2 teams. We'll sort that out later. And, you know, we'll have a grand final. It's going to be real good fun. So go to the Facebook page, everyone. And we've got a few different weekends to choose from.
We may have to actually pick the teams ourselves, though, because if we give them the choice, then obviously everyone's going to flock over to the Andy Palooza side, and RemCon's going to be... Maybe you'll have Newbie over there, so just you two can take on everyone else.
Well, look, we've got lots of armies. I'm going to bring loads of armies, so if you don't want to bring your army, you can use one of mine. But it'd be great if once we nail down which players are coming, we can assign factions to people, and we can do previews. You know, looking at strengths and weaknesses of each army, we can preview the scenarios.
I've just got a vision now of you laying out all your beautifully painted armies on the table, and then like there's 3 people who don't have armies asking if they can use yours. Say, sure, here you go, pick one of mine. And one of them starts picking their nose. One of them's like got their hand down the pants. I can just see it now. You're going to be regretting it instantly. Maybe one of them will be really old and a bit clumsy and dropping your models on the floor. Paint chips off everywhere. You're going to regret it, I'm telling you.
Don't rob them, it'll be alright.
Okay, no nose pickers allowed. Maybe on the RemCon side, but not on the Andy Palooza side.
You should give out like goodie bags with merchandise, and whoever produces a better goodie bag gets more people. Like Rem could have Rem condoms in his goodie bag. But I don't know what you could have, Agnes. What's the only?
What does that mean, though? Do they have like music built into them?
Just have his face like on the front or something.
Right at the moment of climax, a song comes out. You get the done one, you get Andy's voice.
And then you just hear that music playing out of the toilets, and you know what's going on there.
This isn't the kind of con we're supposed to be putting on. And save all that for Dreadfest. You can do whatever you want over there.
So,
I don't know what I'd go in the Andy Palooza goodie bag, though.
Andy Palooza, maybe just an orange top or something.
It would have to be something orange. Maybe an actual orange for everybody.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Vitamin C.
It'd be like Christmas. But not quite as good, because it's also got RemCon there, which kind of drags the quality down a bit.
We're talking about competitions and gaming. You've been looking at some comp systems, haven't you, Andy? So you kindly sent me a link, and I started reading it and got lost after the first couple of sentences.
You started reading it, and then you slowly went cross-eyed after about 1 sentence.
Well, it started with, well, you've got 150 points, and then, like, you can get the minimum amount of units, and that's worth 6 pool choices, but then that might be 5 pool choices if you move that from that pool to the other pool, and then you can have, like, a Gorgon, but that's 2.5 in your pool choice. What?
Yeah, so the little bit of backstory here. We've got our fingers firmly on the pulse of what the people out there want, and a few people did tell us that they would like us to explore comp systems, perhaps for our battle reports. So we're going to at least look into it for those people and see if the audience are receptive to this kind of thing. So we did our research, we had people submit comp systems that are out there in the community, and I've got a couple of them now which I'm going to screen share, and we're going to have a quick look at. We'll see what the audience thinks of these things as well, because obviously their input is invaluable. So the first one here is the South Coast Grand Tournament, which
I've heard of that.
It contains house rules and FAQ. So some of the key things here. So first of all the war scrolls have to come from the same Grand Alliance. So you can't be taking your Chaos Warriors and your Skeletons and your Stormcast all in the same army. So I think that's quite reasonable. We're on board with that so far, aren't we?
It's alright. I couldn't play my Chimera and my Orcs anymore, but I can live with that. Poor Jeff, though, being kicked out.
Yeah, you could use it as something else.
Yeah, like a Magna Squig.
Yeah. Then you have to use the most up-to-date war scrolls. So, for example, in the Death book that just came out, some of those war scrolls were apparently updated, so you would have to use those rather than the previous ones, which people may have printed out. Pool system, which we'll get to in a minute.
Don't get lost.
Yeah, this is where Rem gets very confused. So, how it works is you have a pool limit for the army. So in this particular one, you have 150. And a unit would be, if it's, let's say, Dwarf Warriors contains 10 or more models, so that would be the number. It would be 10 dwarves, and then it would tell you how many pool choices that would take up. So it might be, let's say, 10. So if you could then take 15 of those units, and that would fill up obviously 150 in the pool. Does that make sense to you, Mr. Rem?
Okay, but what if you had 25 in one unit?
If you had 25 in one unit, then that would be worth 10, but times 2, and then you wouldn't be able to go below, so that would be worth a third one, so that'd be worth 30 points.
Okay.
Make sense?
No, but okay, carry on.
Okay.
I also don't get it.
Okay, I'll go over to this one actually, because this other comp that we were looking at, I'll go back to that other one in a second, but this one actually has it all laid out for me that I can find. So, you see here, Beastmen. So Beast Lord, models per scroll 1. And that would take up 1 pool slot. 10 Bestigors would take up 1.5. And then you're adding up these, and you can't go to above, I believe it's 15 on this particular comp.
But let's just go down. See where it said Chaos Warhounds? Just 3 below Bestigors, right? Now, Bestigor's got 1 wound, alright? Or even though he's got like a great weapon, and I think he's like a 3 to wound, 4 to hit, 3 to wound maybe, or 3 to hit, 3 to wound. Pretty good. But a Chaos Warhound's got 2 wounds, yet it's only 0.5 in terms of its cost.
But there's only half as many of them for a start. And their other stats won't be as good, presumably.
Well, I could get 15 of them, and it would be 1.5 in the pool choice, wouldn't it? The same as the Bestigors.
Well, whether you disagree with their exact valuation, that's not really hugely important right now. Just, do you grasp the concept, though?
No, because then it's like 30 wounds worth of Warhounds against 15 wounds of Bestigors. Right?
Yes, but whether you're disagreeing with what value they've placed on each unit, that doesn't really matter at the moment, does it?
Okay.
But you understand that that's how many models you get in the scroll, and that's how many points you're paying for that scroll.
But I'm only paying 2 points for a Sigor.
Yes.
So that's worth about 12 Bestigors. Yeah, okay, I can see that.
So you see the logic now. You see where they're coming from. So that's explained how a pool works. And then there's a couple of other things they've got in here. Named character war scrolls. You can only have 1 of each.
That's fair enough.
Then we've got down here with this one, you can deploy 100 pool choices only. So you can't put everything that you have on the table. You must have a hero in there, and your general must be a hero. So you can't just make a skeleton warrior your general.
Why don't they just call them points? Why pool choices?
I don't know.
Maybe because it's not the single models have a certain point value, but it's like a choice that is kind of valued, and it's not like single models, but this group of models is like these pool points, even though it's still points. I don't know. That's all I got.
Okay, and then you can't take units that have more than 30 wounds in them. Okay.
Alright.
Then there's a few other things. No more than 5 war machines can be taken. No more than 2 of the same war scroll with war machine can be taken. Maximum 3 units of any war scroll can be set up as part of your warband. Blah 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 blah. Summoning pool. So you can have up to 40 pool choices by reducing your total warband size.
Oh, we need to get Mitch on right now.
Yeah, Mr. MC1 Gamer is the master of summoning. In fact, when you mention his name, sometimes he is actually summoned into the comments. In fact, there he is. He's right there now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he just got back. I think he left just before the show started, like a true loyal audience member.
Well, that sounds interesting. So, say you can have 100 pool choices in your army, and you assign 40 of those for summoning. That means you can only field at the start of the game 60 points worth, right? And then you've got that 40 points that you can summon during the game.
Something along those lines, yes.
Sounds alright.
If we decide we're going to use one of these, we'll delve into it in more detail so we're sure we're actually playing it correctly.
If you can do that, I think you should be able to summon anything you want.
A couple of other things here. They measure from base to base, so that gets a big thumb up from me, especially. And then when it comes to going upwards on the terrain, you measure from the mass of the model, or the volume, as they put it. So you don't measure from like the tip of the sword when you're measuring upwards.
Right.
You just go from the actual bulk of the body and the head of the miniature.
It's like in Relics.
Indeed. Then on the battlefield, they've got a few different terrain rules. So, must roll on the chart. Blah, 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 blah. The 10 main pieces of terrain. Any additional terrain will not be used. You have to measure diagonally to clear the terrain. You can't drop for free. You have to measure the distance. Okay, so you can't just go up to the terrain and then just walk over it as if it's not there. Then we've got some things. I believe things in red are probably ones that they've changed in this version of it. But there's a few rules to do with the terrain. Here we go. The deadly terrain. Models with hero or monster keyword suffer 1 wound. Right, instead of just the entire monster being slain. So a few little tweaks like that. And here we go, a few other things. Natural roll of 1 to hit, wound, or save will always fail. Things that aren't in the rules, but they think should be, pretty much. Game lasts for 5 battle rounds.
Only 5?
Indeed. Then there's some rules FAQ here as well, because obviously there are some things that are left somewhat vague in the rules that they want to clear up, because if you're going to be using this for a tournament, obviously you want everyone on the same page playing the same interpretation without having to go around and individually work it out with everybody, so just putting it all in text is an easy way to do it. So war machines and crew considered single deployment. When piling in, you don't have to move a direct straight line to the nearest enemy model, but you do have to end up closer to them than you started. So you can swing round them as long as you still end up a little bit closer. So you still have room for some shenanigans there. Cover save, you have to be 100% in the terrain. If you're touching a wall and the person attacking you is on the other side of it, then you'll get +1 cover save bonus.
Yeah, it sounds like leaving the whole pool stuff aside. It's just a lot of house rules that people made that make sense to them, which I also do with the people I play with. So that's a thing. It's just pretty much putting it all under one umbrella and like making it more agreeable for a certain group of people.
Well, with the cover save thing, I think it's often very hard to get a whole unit in cover. You know what I mean? Especially if it's like a terrain piece like a forest or something. If you've got 10, 15 models in it, it's very hard to get them all in there. I think it should be more than half the unit should be in the cover to get the bonus.
Alright. I mean, I had 25 orcs in one forest the other day, so that worked.
You got the bonus?
Yeah. I mean, I have my own forests. They're quite big, so...
Mm-hmm.
If you look at this here, then you're not allowed to have a model just perching over the edge of terrain.
Right.
There has to be room for it. So you can't just fit more models in by teetering them over the edge or balancing them on each other's heads to hold them up in places they shouldn't be able to sit. But on the stairs it's okay to do that because there is an actual surface there that they're supposed to be able to walk on.
You see, Andy, if you've got 10 orcs, or, you know, you can't fit 10 models on those terrain pieces, can you?
No, you can't.
But you probably could if it was like real life. You could.
And here's an interesting thing: if you have some of them in cover in the terrain, and the enemy kills one of them, you can remove the one that's not in the terrain. So the next time they get attacked, they will actually get the bonus.
Yeah, that seems fair enough.
And then you're not allowed to sit a model on top of a piece of terrain like that where he can't be reached by the enemy.
Right.
That seems quite reasonable, doesn't it?
Yeah, it all looks like it's just house rules that make sense. I personally can't see myself use a comp system that actually introduces points back into the game because I don't trust into points in games anymore. Like Kings of War is the game that comes closest to being balanced, in my opinion. But when it comes to GW, it's just too crazy. Everything's just too crazy to really be able to put it into like that 1 points thingy. And it's, I don't know, it depends how much it gets play tested, but it's just with all the changes happening always. I will just stick to my narrative games unless I have a person I really, really want to play with because they're a great person, but they can't wrap their head around not playing with playing without points, so I would maybe do it. I have in fact played the very first comp system that was out, which was really basic. For like 3 games it was alright, but it didn't really add to my experience, to be honest. Quite the opposite. Made the games really boring because they force that kind of standard play into the game, back into the game.
We've got another comp here, the Clash comp, version 1.41. And the one thing that stands out here, any rule that you must obtain permission from your opponent for something to work, these rules will be played as per the rule, so you must obtain permission.
Right, we do that anyway.
Yeah, there's things like if you can bribe your opponent to let you get a bonus in the game, then you still have to do it. But if there's something that says if you do a dance, then you just get that automatically.
Yeah, or bellow like an orc to use my war drums, like I won't do that.
Yeah, you
That's
don't really
funny
have to do
rules that I would do, and like if I'm willing to do them, then it's alright, but I won't just yell like a nutter like at 1 a.m. in my house and people just ring my doorbell and just
call the police.
So, yeah. So.
Yeah, I wonder if anyone's been arrested for enacting some of the silly rules yet. But yeah, you can pretty much ignore those, which is nice. And then this, it seems very similar to the other comp, this one, except their pool is slightly different. The values are lower, which is what I was looking at here with the Beastmen. And then they've got all the armies covered in here, so I'm just going to have a quick look at the Dwarfs, because I want to see. Belagar Ironhammer is worth 1.5 pool choices, whereas, let's see, High King Thorgrim Grudgebearer is worth 2.5. That seems quite fair, because he is an absolute beast. Mm-hmm. He's way more than other things. Thoric Ironbrow worth 2. I'm not sure he's that good. And then, let's see. They've got
there a pool boy at these events?
Well. Is there what?
Is there a pool boy at these events who like comes over with like a big net to fish out the stuff that doesn't belong in the pool?
There should probably be a lifeguard, because I think some people might drown in all these house rules.
Got the costume already.
And if you look at this here, the formations that you can use actually add to your score, because obviously you get bonuses for them.
Right.
So the artillery battery doesn't seem to add anything, but that one does, for example. So the bonuses associated with that formation will put an extra 0.5 onto your pool total. So you can see what they're going for here. And obviously these red ones have been tweaked since the last version. So it's a work in progress, all these comp systems, as people test them.
Well, I'm up for giving it a go at some point, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we were working on the tremendous comp system, but it's not finished yet, so I don't know if we can really use that. And of course, that was entirely based on how much damage output something has. And we did have trouble getting Mr. Mitch to fully endorse it as well. So I'm not sure whether we can use it until he's completely happy with it.
Well, that's, yeah, I've had enough of this comp stuff already now.
So you're willing to give
You look at the models now.
system a try, are you?
Yeah, I'll give it a go.
Okay then. So it's settled. We'll have a game with some kind of comp system at some point. So, if the people out there would like to tell us which comp system we should use, if you know of another one that we haven't looked at that we probably should, then let us know. It might be best if you do that in the permanent comments after the show so we can actually see it and it doesn't get lost in the shuffle of Mitch arguing with people.
Alright, you should actually use DreadComp. It doesn't use points.
What does it use?
It just uses the models you want to have in your scenario.
I'm pretty sure dread comp just means that your scenario has to include at least 2 piggies.
Yeah, that too. You need at least 2 piggies, and that's the comp. The more piggies you have, the better.
Have you ever done a scenario that didn't have pigs in it somewhere?
Let me think.
I don't think you
Nope.
have.
No, there are always piggies in there, one way or the other. Even if they were just scenery, they were piggies.
It's not as predictable as my 40k scenarios that always involve like the Emperor's bathtub or the Emperor sitting on the toilet or the Emperor's toothbrush being lost.
Alright.
Very predictable indeed. So the comments have been going nuts talking about the comp systems. Let's see. So Timothy Lind says the SCGT introduced narrative scenarios. At the end of the day, a tournament is different from other games, which what comp is for. I run campaigns as well without comp, but it's a different experience. Yes, because there are a lot of narrative campaigns people are running, but also tournaments, which are really to squeeze the cheese out of the rules and try and beat the other guy in the ultimate battle of wits. If you know the rules better than your opponent, then you should win. In a hardcore tournament setting, you can put a spin on it and make it a narrative, more friendly tournament where all the prizes aren't just for winning, but also for being entertaining and being a good sport and so on. So it depends how heavily you favour people who are just absolute cheesemongers. Or
Yeah,
whether
and
you...
also where you get your tournament points from, like the points that rake up and that determine your victory, not if it's for just killing your enemy or if it's for fun stuff like, I don't know, go get that statue and carry it over the table and you get 10 points or something.
You get a bonus 10 points if you buy your opponent a drink during the game.
Yeah? Or if you use like deodorant.
Yeah, if you actually apply deodorant during the game, then you get bonus points. That would be a really good one, actually, for a tournament. That would be very, very useful, actually.
Yeah.
It might not be that big of a deal in somewhere like Warhammer World, because it's quite big and airy, but there have been in some places playing games that were quite small with not the best ventilation.
Some wargamers are quite big and airy too, though.
Wow, wow. Where were you with the sound effects there, Rem?
So I'm past that. Right, so let's look at the Andy and Rem Facebook page. I can see Amy Snuggs has tactically snugged in a new paint job of this magma dwarf. It looks like it's burnt to a crisp there. Fantastic work there, Amy. Well done. It's awesome. You all see that?
Yeah.
Those flames are actually looking very, very tasty. I'll be interested to see what she does with the rest of it.
I think she's been inspired with one of my Dark Elf base work there, because it looks very similar, but it looks gorgeous, that.
It does.
So
Very,
she's
very tasty indeed. I do like those flames. People get tempted to do flames the wrong way round. I don't know if you've noticed, but when you tell someone to paint a flame, often they'll start with the red and then work like towards a white on the tip. And then when you tell them to look at a real flame, they realise actually that's completely wrong, because the hottest part is white and that should be lower down and the tip should be the darkest.
Yeah, I did that for the longest time back in the day.
Well, it still works though the other way around. But
It looks okay until you see a real flame and you think, what on earth have I just done?
It's magic flames, they just burn the other way around.
What else we got here? We've got Harrison Key. He's put up a picture of the neat looking Bray shaman there.
Has he got glowing eyes?
I don't know. A lot of different tones of brown there.
Could be an optical illusion.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, he's definitely got something going on, glowing there, hasn't he, on his face?
Yeah, kind of mask maybe.
I think that's just war paint, blue war paint, isn't it?
Interesting.
Oh, what's that? Is
I
that
wonder whose that could be.
That's a work in progress. It's taking me a long time. The guys on the bottom. This is a fine cast model, and I didn't wash it with soap and water, so it's taking me about 4 or 5 coats to get it like that. That the paint sort of smearing off.
Oh, that's sad. That's
Yeah.
sad.
So it's a bit slippery to paint that, but I think I put in coat. You know, I'll just say it again. You know, when you take photos, you really do notice the flaws a lot quicker than you do just by looking at the model.
Anyone that wants to use your dwarf army at Andy Palooza /Remcon, they better be careful when they're handling this model then.
Yeah, I think I'm going to put loads of hard coat on this one. But
yeah, anyone who picks it up and suddenly they pick it up and all they've picked is just the outer paint shell, like a spider shedding its skin, and they look down and it's just completely bare fine cast on the table, and they're desperately trying to stick it back on before you turn round.
I've been looking at a YouTube channel called Arch Warhammer, and he's been doing previews of all the potential armies that are going to be used in Warhammer Total War, and it's really good. I really enjoy listening to him, and obviously the dwarves are featured heavily. In fact, Thorgrim Grudgebearer himself, so it sort of inspired me to finish him off.
Yeah, he's going to be quite a big part of that game.
Yeah, this is Victor Hughes coming in for the kill yet again with some his amazing submarines.
Why do the rest of us even bother when people can do things like this?
Yeah, I didn't even bother like posting my black orcs in any group because they're just base color wash and I couldn't be bothered to do more.
Yeah, I think we should ban people that are too good from posting in there because it makes everyone else look bad.
Yeah.
I just think it's just a great colour scheme there. He's nailed that.
It looks cool.
Real nice.
It's not a colour scheme you'd think of, though, is it?
And this is
people just have vision.
Auric Rune Master. I especially like the eyes.
Yeah, those are definitely glowing eyes.
She's managed to get the figure to not look like Abraham Lincoln. It's pretty impressive. So yeah,
it's pretty damn impressive indeed. More nice flames going on there.
I mean, the paintwork's just so clean, isn't it? It looks. I think should end up working for Games Workshop. You know, it's exactly what they do as well, isn't it? That sort of real clean. You don't see any flaws in the paintwork.
I like the way the hair is all broken up with the black as well on her fire slayers. I think if I was painting some, I would probably go for the orange and green, you know, like Mr. Alric Big Butts.
Hideous green, is that?
Yes, definitely.
You should maybe close that chat there. People could just like type in that exact link.
Sorry. This James Maybury is posted up some cool pictures of a battle report there, and what I like most about it is it's just always great to see finished and decent paint jobs when they're on the table. They look really amazing, and you can see it's using old trays there to carry his models, which I can completely understand, especially with Dark Elves.
It's
they're
true.
So spiky. You know.
It's true. I do the same. So.
He made the same mistake as me, as getting a Charybdis instead of a Hydra as well.
Well, everyone already had Hydras, didn't they?
Right, okay.
So people wanted to go for the nice new flashy thing. And if they already had the old Hydra model, then they thought, well, I'm going to have a Charybdis then, because it's this amazing sea monster.
Right, well, I don't have too much else to show you. Maybe just a picture of Claudio Ranieri.
Yep. only a mildly acceptable result for you tonight, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was all right, and that's what I made. That's what I had for dinner tonight. I made that.
Very nice.
Well, I'm glad we got to see that.
Thank you. And that's kind of all from me on that front. I did want to read out a really funny news article, but Andy's banned me from reading it on the show. It's some kind of uproar about Tomb Kings being deleted.
Well, you can put it in the Andy and Rem Show Facebook group, and people can look at it there. Another reason for people to go and join it.
I know what article you're talking about. I think so at least.
And then she's funny myself, but
Well, Amy has thanked you, Mr. M, for your nice words on her painting abilities.
I come to
MC1 Gamer says there's going to be a wood whittling competition at Andy Palooza. I don't know where he's heard that, but there's going to be no whittling at all. Certainly not. Okay, we've got a couple of people talking about the old comps in here. So let's see. A lot of people rallying behind the old SCGT, telling us how amazing it is and how it doesn't limit you as much as you'd think. So you think we should try that one for our army selections at least?
Oh, I've been listening to the Heel and Hammer podcast, which I thoroughly recommend. It's brilliant. Real nice hour-and-a-half show to listen to while you're painting, and they're real professionals now. They've been doing it for a long time. And they're the guys. Are they the guys behind the South Coast GT? I know they play it, and they're based down in Portsmouth. So
Maybe then.
yeah, well, it'd be great to get one of them guys on the show. But the big news is that Reef Beastman has agreed to come to RemCon.
He's agreed to
Palooza, but he's agreed to come to
that RemCon is also taking place yet because we didn't want to put too much pressure on him. So if we can find a date that coincides with his availability, then not only could you meet a handful of A-list celebrities, you could also meet Mr. Reef there as well. So yet another reason. So, probably our final topic for the night. We had a question. Now, I'm not sure the best way to go about answering this, but someone asked us whether we play test our scenarios. The short answer would be no.
I do.
You do, so we're going to get to that in a moment. But when we create our scenarios, usually we put the terrain down on the table. We know which armies we're going to have lining up against each other, and then I'll look at it, and then a lightning bolt of inspiration will flash into my brain. I'll think, actually, yeah, that piece of terrain can be this mystical monument thing. That army is trying to accomplish this. Let's put that over there, that here. Okay, bam. Start recording. Off I go, describing it, weaving a beautiful narrative for the people. That's usually how it goes. We don't usually play test the scenarios at all. It's been a miracle that they've actually ended up as balanced as they were, because all the scenarios we've used so far have actually been very close.
Yes,
So-
they worked out.
That's just natural talent. But you have play tested some of your own scenarios.
Yeah. Like the Crown of Might scenario, before I released that, I think it was 2 test games with 2 poor souls who had to play me. No, it was even different people, I think, yeah. It was 4 people, all in all, and I did 2 games before I actually released it, and those games actually led to me changing the scenario and making it more into a format that I could release as a PDF. I don't know if the link still works on my channel. I should check that. It's on a really cheap hosting site.
Did the people that you
Yeah.
tested it out on get ruffle stomped, as the kids say?
They actually didn't. It was really close in one of the games, and I don't remember the other game. I think we just talked too much and didn't get too far, but it was still enough of gameplay that I could see if the scenario worked or not. Like, we didn't get to the end.
But do you
Well,
think
very,
it's
very
important
end.
to playtest an Age of Sigmar scenario where it's more about the narrative rather than how balanced it is?
Not too much, especially if you set the focus of the scenario on something else than just killing your opponent, what I like to do. Like, not killing my opponent, but setting the focus on something else. Like, getting that artifact to the altar and destroying it is like the focus on mine scenario, and capturing those ruins, getting the power points, getting the rolls on the random table that makes the game hilarious. And yeah, like it was pretty much just changes to the random tables and how the piggies worked. Of course, that's a very important integral part of the scenario. The
think-
piggies were too easy to camp first.
I think the 3 main elements you need in a good Age of Sigmar scenario. You need something in there that prevents it being all about killing.
Yes.
Because as fun as killing is, it's a side attraction. You want there to be some kind of objective. And
it also gets old.
Yep, the second thing, which is kind of linked to that, you need some way of splitting up the forces. You want people fighting on multiple locations on the table. So if you're going to have objectives, you don't want it to just be one right in the centre, and then whoever's on that wins, because everything is just going to pile into the middle on it, and it's going to turn into a big, fat, horrible mess, as if there was no objective at all. It would be the same thing. And 3, you need to have, I think you need some kind of crazy, weird element in there. Something a bit unpredictable that spices things up a bit and keeps people on their toes. Whether it's a piece of terrain that randomly spews out attacks at you, or...
Rem, are you asleep, by the way? Yes, he is. Isn't that cute?
Hello?
Did you really just fall asleep when we're talking about scenario playtesting?
I didn't even realize, like, I read the chat and Mitch was like, Rem, wake up! The comm system put him to sleep.
Come on, man. We don't need to play test it. Let's just do it, man. Play test it in your head.
Well, I'm glad you were paying so much attention that you were able to give us that nugget of wisdom at the end of it. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to be talking about comp systems ever again, if this is what it does to you. The SCGT has claimed its first victim, I think.
I'm going to go, guys. I'm sorry, but I've got a really big day tomorrow.
Well, it's very lucky that we've come to the end of the show then, isn't it?
Very much.
So, Mr. Rem, I hope you managed to dream us up a little outro song.
Yeah, but I think you're going to have to join in with this, alright?
Well, while you're preparing it, you can start it off and then maybe one of us will pick up partway through the song.
Really easy. Basically, we're going to sing a little blues song, because we've never really done any blues.
Well, while you're making sure you're fully conscious, of course, we're going to thank the audience for joining us and remind you to like the video, of course, subscribe if you haven't already, and after the show is finished, refresh the page and leave a comment in the permanent comments section so it goes down in the annals of history for all to see, so you can tell us what an amazing show it was and how you would willingly watch it 10 times in a row with your eyeballs held open forcibly and it wouldn't even mentally scar you at all. Apart from maybe that one part that Remington showed the plate of potatoes. But I don't think it was too bad. So, thanks for joining us, everyone. And don't forget that when it comes to laser cut terrain, DarkOps is the tops. Cha-ching. And I am going to fire up the wonderful, not at all photoshopped logo for this week's show. We actually went out into the countryside and got a couple of horses. We scratch-built a real chariot and posed for this photo.
Indeed.
We did. No expense spared. That was paid for with some of the Patreon money.
Yeah.
So you can see it's going to good use.
With my Patreon money, my vast amounts of Patreon money that I pledged.
Yeah, and if you want to support more Andy and Rem themed battle reports, then you can always head on over to the Patreon and pledge away as much or as little as you like. Several membership tiers. So, Mr. Rem, would you like to begin our musical outro for the evening?
So basically, I'm going to start this. I'll start it off, and you've got to come up with your own lines. But it's really easy. It's like a game of tennis. Right, I'm going to serve it up to you. See if you can come back.
Hey, should we go round in a trio with the lines?
Sure. Here we go. It's Remington Steel. It's Remington Steel. It's Andy Palooza. Remington Steel. Remington Steel cooks a good meal. Andy Palooza, well, he wears an orange top. Got got the blues today. In every single way, I got the blues.
Buy Rem condoms today.
Andy Palooza. Remcon is a big con. He fell asleep during the show.
Had quite
What's
the
up
sweet dreams.
What's up with that, bro?
Only MC1 gamer noticed. Holy crap!
It's not gonna snow, because it's the end of winter. You know Remcon is the one to go. Avoid Andy Palooza just like the plague.
Come to DreadCon.
It's the best. But you really should remember that it's called Dreadfest.
It's at Aldi West.
Don't go wearing a vest.
You won't get served beer.
Oh dear.
It's the end of the show. I've really got to go. I've got the blues, got the blues, got the blues.